Jumping right in, I am putting on my Morphe concealer in the shade C2.65 all over my lids to cover up those veiny lids. I'm going in with my Makeup Forever primer, and I only use this when I am having an event or shoot or, something like that. Here I am buffing in the concealer to give myself a nice base for my shadow work today. And I'm also setting that with a beauty sponge that has a little bit of leftover powder on it. Today's palette is the Chella palette, and this is the Divine Palette, and I love it. It's so beautiful. I am taking the shade Fulfilling, which is that dark chocolate brown, on a super pointy pencil brush, and I'm going to be mapping out the shape of my eyeshadow for today. So it's actually just, kind of like what you see here. I really cannot describe what I did, but I literally just did that and it worked. Now I'm going to be going back in with my concealer, and I'm going to be using this to clean up the line that I created and I mapped out. This is going to help give a really crisp appearance when I apply the rest of the shadows onto my lid, but also kind of clean everything up because I really wanted this color to be nice and dark. So I had to go in and apply a couple coats of shadow. Had to go over it a couple of times just to darken up that color, so that way I had a nice contrast between the lid shades that I am going to apply. So it's okay to get messy with this, but try not to get too messy, because you don't want to have too much concealer packing onto your lids just trying to clean it up. So do keep that in mind, you guys. Going back in with the shade Fulfilling, I'm going to be using this to create the depth in my wing. So I'm going to be filling in the wing shape that we created, just only in the corner. So you really want to keep a little bit of control, but I did want to use a bigger brush so that way it blends as I'm applying it. But you do want to go in and do it a couple of times. It's okay if you get a little bit messy on the outer end, because we are going to go back in and clean it up anyway, just to make sure it's nice and sharp. But again, like I mentioned before, don't go too wild. Have a little bit of control, but it is okay if you do, color outside the lines. I'm gonna go in with a Morphe flat shader brush, and I'm taking the color Evolving, which is a beautiful bronzy golden color. It's so gorgeous, like a coppery bronzy, you get where I'm going with this. And I'm putting this on the outer kind of third, kind of half of my lid. So I want to kind of blend that in with the brown that's in our wing, but I also don't want it to be, completely absorbed by the brown. So I'm gonna make sure that it is visible on my lid, like on the front part of my lid when I face towards you. So you do want to bring that in pretty far. We are going to be blending that in with the shade Goddess in Training. I'm just going to use the same brush. I'm just going to flip it over, and I'm going to use that to pack into the first half of the lid. So we're just going to keep going in and out with those two shades, blending them in and adding some pigmentation. These colors are so pigmented, but I did want to make sure that it was giving this pop-like effect. So you do want to go in and add a couple layers, go back and forth, blend them in, make sure everything looks super seamless and vibrant. So now we're jumping into the hair portion, and yes, I am reinstalling my wig. This is a wig that I've worn before, but I do love it, and it was gorgeous for this shoot. So I'm just going ahead and cutting out my ear holes so that way the wig cap can stay in place. This is actually the first time I've ever done my hair after I did my makeup, especially like a full-blown wig. I usually do them on separate days, but this was a crunch day for me. So, you know, I really was timing myself, and everything took me 2 hours, so I was really proud. Now I'm taking the Got2b Freeze Blast. You know, guys, this is Bible, and I'm going to be using this to spray down my wig cap. I do get a little messy with this, but you know, it's fine. I don't have it all the way over my face like I normally would, so it's going to kind of keep the spray in at a good place without running all the way down my face and ruining my makeup. But you do still want to be a little bit careful when you're doing this, and I use my fingers to kind of like stop it from running, as well as, you know, kind of setting it in place as well. Taking the blow dryer, I'm going to be drying that up. I have it on the cool button, so you know, definitely don't want to use heat for this step. You want to make sure that you're using the cool button just so that it dries a lot faster. While this part is pretty self-explanatory, I am taking a pair of really sharp eyebrow scissors, and I'm going to be using this to cut off the excess cap. You want to be super careful. Be mindful of your hairline. I have a really weird hairline, so you know, I'm always extra cautious, and I'll leave a little extra cap and then just go back in when I'm done and kind of like trim it up, or you know, take off anything that I think is a little bit extra. But you know, don't cut your baby hairs off, love. You know, we need our edges, we need our baby hairs, so handle with care with this step. Now I'm going in with my Sephora Micro Smooth Powder, and I'm going to be using this as a way to blend in my cap with my scalp. It's going to give scalp in the end. So you just want to apply a whole bunch of powder all over your cap. I actually take it pretty far back because this is a 13x6 frontal. So, you know, I don't want to have a spot where, you know, there is no color and it's giving lace. So yeah, I do take it a little bit far, but if you have a 13x4 or, you know, a full lace wig, you know, you only have to do it where, as far as, you know, the parting space allows, you know, you don't really have to put it all over your head, but I like to cover what I can see. Now I'll be applying 3 layers of the Ghost Bond glue. I love this glue. This is the only glue that I've, you know, really been using. It doesn't give me any bad reactions. I have heard quite a lot of horror stories actually about glue. So for me, Ghost Bond is pretty safe bet. I do notice though, like, you know, if I keep frontals on for too long, my skin is really sensitive, so I do tend to get like little breakouts, so I have to give myself, you know, a couple days to breathe in between. But you know, just keep that in mind. If you have sensitive skin, you may see a pimple or two, you know, when you take your wig off. I'm going ahead and drying that layer of glue. I do this 3 times like I mentioned, so that way I have a lot of longevity and strength for this unit. So now I'm going ahead and I'm sealing in the middle part of my unit. When I already am, you know, have a unit that I've worn, I'm definitely a little bit more messy with this install process just because it's already done for me. So I'm not as careful because the guide is already set in place for me, but I do still do it in 3 sections. So I do the middle first, and then I do the left and the right side basically at the same time. But this makes it a lot easier for me to get the unit on and staying in place if I seal down the middle first and, you know, kind of just proceed with the rest. Now to seal down those baby hairs, I'm just going to, pull them out, and I'm gonna be putting on my elastic band around my edges. And this is going to, of course, help the lace melt. Like I said earlier, we was definitely on a time crunch today. I did all of this within 2 hours, so the result was actually pretty good considering I usually take about 2 hours just on my hair alone. But now I am sitting here blow drying it. It was soaking wet. I was pissed. The red was staining literally everything. I had a huge red spot on my sweatpants that I didn't even notice until I had already gotten to my shoot, so that was a little embarrassing. But I'm sitting here blow drying the hair. As you can see, I haven't even detangled it. Like, everything is giving brushed, but we came out cute, and that's all that matters. Here I'm applying some mousse. This is the Olive Oil Sheen brand. This is their mousse. I really like it. My hair is still actually a little bit damp at the top, but I am going to be hot combing it. So this is definitely going to help me keep that flatness and seal it all in. I figured, if I'm gonna have semi-wet hair, as long as my, frontal part is slayed, who cares? So I went ahead and, locked that in. Look at that. It's giving perm, it's giving silk press, it's giving, this is really my hair. Okay, look how sleek it is. I love it. I'm gonna actually do this more often, and I think it really, helps with the longevity of my lace laying down and everything looking just smooth and giving scalp. So I do like this. It's amazing the things you learn when you're in a rush. Now I'm laying down my baby hairs using that same mousse that I applied to lay down my hair, like just lay down my entire unit. And then I also go over it with the olive oil. I will link it down in the description box because I don't remember the exact name, but it's a hairspray and it comes in a duo. And I use this to really define my hairline to make it look way more natural. And it also kind of helps if the mousse lifts up the lace. The hairspray actually lays it and seals it back down. So it's kind of like a little band-aid just in case if you don't notice at that particular moment that your lace is lifting because you lay down your baby hairs. It definitely adds a little extra protection for you. So this is the semi-final look. I did not put on my lippy. I am just applying some of this Dior lip oil. This is the cherry one because I knew I was gonna have to put on a mask and all that stuff to transport. So I just wanted to show you guys the final look with these lashes, and stay tuned for the final look right now.